in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Yes, indeedy. Why don't you do that? Glorious morning here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I would hope the same is true in St. Louis, Missouri, where my sister joins us. Hi, Suze.
Hi.
I should also mention it's 9/11, and of course that date is forever etched in our memories. And it was a day like this. I mean, here, I don't know what your weather looks like. It was a day.
No, it was an absolutely sparkling,
crystal
beautiful
clear
fall day with the windows open.
Exactly like this. And MSNBC this morning was running in real time. I mean, in the same time period, the rerun of the Today Show that day. And I was just riveted. I almost couldn't get out of the house to come to work. Even though I knew everything that was going to happen, you're still just watching those buildings with your mouth hanging open in astonishment, and then listening to Lauer and Couric try to get their heads around what's happening, as all of us were. It was really... God, it was really something.
Right. I remember sitting right where I'm sitting, watching it happen.
Yeah.
You know, and I got a call from a friend that said, "Turn on the television quick," and she was just screaming.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't believe what we were seeing. Anyway, that begs the question.
Remember, we thought we'd never feel normal again.
Or safe again.
Right.
And I think a lot of Americans don't. But, I mean, you think of all the things that have changed in our lives as a result of that. Not just travel, but it was used as a pretext to go to war in Iraq. And we know what that did and continues to do, and all the lives that were lost. So you add to the lives of all our soldiers, the lives of the Iraqis that died as a result of Right,
the loss of a lot of our civil liberties, really.
That is true, too.
I mean, we are spied on in ways that we just don't even pay attention to anymore.
And we tolerate because...
And we tolerate it. Not only do we tolerate it, we're vaguely grateful.
Yeah, because we're frightened. We're a scared people. We thought we were invincible.
We thought we were protected by these two great oceans.
Well, no one had ever attacked us, except the British in the War of 1812, right? I mean, I'm trying to think, did anyone ever attack us on Hawaii, but that wasn't a state yet. It was our territory, but yeah. Unbelievable. So the question was asked, since the New York Times did not have anything on the front page about 9/11, and that's obviously the newspaper in New York City where most of the attack occurred, and they chose not to mention it on their front page. And so questions were asked, is that right? The Post also, I believe, did not mention it on the first page. And somewhere, I guess it was in USA Today, I saw a question that was put to Americans.
Are Are we over it?
Yeah, is it time to move on? In regard to 9/11, do you agree with the statement, it's time to move on? And
I don't agree with the statement it's time to move on, but I do think we have moved on.
Well, 70% of Americans agreed with the statement that I've moved on or it's time to move on. I might not be saying this right, but yes. So it shows that, enough with making it something that we have to. I mean,
it's also just the human. It's how humans and our emotions are constructed. We heal ourselves.
Yes.
And in order to continue going,
you have to move on.
We cover up the rawness of our pain. It eventually heals like any other wound.
Right.
I mean, even the ones that you think you can't. Even when someone that you love has died there, you don't cry every day. But when you do think about it, you can cry like it's the first time you thought about it.
Right.
But it's different.
Right. But I also think there are those who, like to dredge it up for political advantage.
Yeah, but that's
them.
That's a misuse.
Right.
Of
an exploitation of a tragedy.
An exploitation of a moment in all of our histories that's very personal.
And for some, unbelievably personal.
But for all of us it was, because we were all, because of the way we are now, we were all there.
Well, I do remember, as I watched this morning, and there's actually, there's this footage of the second plane just flying right in. And the stunned silence from Lauer and just like, and, I looked at that today and I had a different reaction. And it was that I know someone here whose brother was on that plane, And you think, oh my God. And so I started, then my head went to the people in that plane who knew they were about to die because they were approaching New York in a way that didn't make any sense, seeing buildings at a level they shouldn't be. And obviously they'd known there was trouble on the plane because it had been hijacked, whatever. And then you start thinking of, right near here, that plane was destined for D.C. I completely forgot as I was watching the towers this morning about, oh my God, and then that third plane hit the Pentagon. Yeah.
No, it was the most horrendous of days. And I still, I fly to New York often, and in all the time I used to fly there was just one particular flight path into LaGuardia.
Right.
And then after 9/11, for no good reason, I felt strangely, they started flying in with straight over Manhattan, starting from the Statue of Liberty straight up and going that way, and it would scare me every single time. Because it's not the usual pattern.
Yeah, I don't
and
know
it would
I've ever
scare me
them.
Every time it happened. It would scare me. By the third time, I realized, okay, it's a new pattern. But geez.
Well, every time we hear a plane in the air now and it seems a little too low, everybody looks up and we've got...
I always did. This was one of my neurotic things.
Okay.
I have always felt like an airplane could fall right out of the sky and hit me. And then when this happened, I thought...
Okay, well, let's go on to happier things. I am looking at the greatest picture. I'm sure you've seen it. This is the picture of Biden in the
yes!
in the biker diner.
I love Joe Biden.
I do too.
I love everything about him.
Wait, Jess hasn't seen it. Jess.
Look it up, folks. Biden has a biker chick on his lap, and her two biker male pals ain't happy.
It is the funniest picture. You look at, there are two old bikers on either side of the vice president. And they're looking at him because here's how it happened. What happened, it looks like she's on his lap. She is not on his lap. What happened was he called her over. There was no chair. He grabbed a chair and pulled it into, himself and then pulled her onto the chair. So she was on a chair, but and then he's just on her. She is laughing, and
the two of them have the giggles.
And those two biker guys is the funniest picture. Biden is just Biden. He's having a ball. And there's a second picture here that I hadn't seen before. It's a close-up. He's rubbing her shoulders, and she's laughing so hard she can't see straight. Incredible.
And she's, of that certain age where she's probably incontinent at that point to boot.
Oh, Susan!
Sorry.
She's a little toothless.
No, very cute. That's what I don't get. Everybody is Biden's gaffes. I said, what
How's that a gaffe?
What is wrong with a politician who you can trust?
And who
He
clearly
says what he
loves
thinks.
people. He just is having fun. Now, that was the same day that Obama walks into that pizza shop and the
got
owner
picked up by that
and the
cow,
owner grabs him and throws him.
That bull.
Yeah, and so here's, and there was all this hullabaloo about that too. So I'm thinking, in all those instances, in both those instances, you have two much more relaxed human beings. Can you see Romney in either of those poses?
No, what you're seeing is two people that people like.
That's true.
I mean, if somebody wrote someplace that I was reading, if you had picked up Romney like that, he would have broken.
Yeah.
Oh, did you hear, by the way, that an aide immediately after the Meet the Press thing said that he didn't actually mean that about keeping all of those Obamacare things that he liked?
No, he just turned on a dime again. So he's saying, I didn't watch Meet the Press because
I didn't either.
I can't bear those shows. I can't bear them. And even knowing Romney was on, I thought, well, I can't bear it even more.
Right.
But the reality...
Especially if he does that weird Stevie Wonder thing with his head. Did you notice that during his speech?
He moves his head like a blind person?
Well, you know how Stevie's got a really sort of trademark way that he moves his head when he sings.
I know. I'm doing it right now.
Right. Well, he was doing that during his inaugural speech when he was doing that weird little voice at the end of each sentence, and his head would turn and his eyes would go up.
Sorry, Suze. I guess you had to have been there. You had to have pointed it out to me at the time, because, no, I did not have that reaction. But,
sorry, Stevie. He's probably not your guy.
No, I'm sure not. Okay, so Romney told David Gregory that, oh, yeah, there's parts of Obamacare that I like. See, that's what, and I remember somebody predicting that this is what they would do, because by the time of the election rolls around, some really nice parts of the bill would have kicked in, and it would be very difficult for the Republicans to say they're going to repeal. They're going to take back the thing on pre-existing conditions.
That's right.
They're going to
repeal. Each part rolls out and people get it. Oh,
right, exactly. So Romney on Meet the Press says that one of the goals of his health care plan is to, this is a quote, is to make sure that those with pre-existing conditions can get coverage. And literally, a few hours later, one of his people clarified what he meant. And here's the clarification. In reference to how the governor would deal with those with pre-existing conditions and young adults who want to remain on their parents' plans, There's been no change in Mr. Romney's position, and that, quote, in a competitive environment, the marketplace will make available plans that include coverage for what there is demand for. He was not proposing a federal mandate to require insurance plans to offer those particular features. This is a total negation of what he said. Jesus. What a bunch of buffoons. It gives you the distinct impression that Romney is totally disconnected from the people who are trying to get him elected.
Right.
And that tells you something, too. That tells you what kind of a presidency he would have. He either has to turn on, once he gets to be president, turn on the people who got him elected and do what he really wanted to do, which is maybe be a moderate. I don't know. Or he's just going to be a puppet. I don't know.
But, if you read anything about the way he was as a CEO, or even as governor, that is what he did. He just sort of ruled.
He delegates.
He didn't listen, and he was detached, and he was always sort of surprised when, it didn't just happen the way he ordered.
Oh, because when you're a CEO, you can work like that. Politics doesn't work that way.
No.
Okay, well, listen, did you see this? Romney yesterday endorsed Congressman Steve King of Iowa. And can I give you a quote from Stephen King?
Oh, sure.
All right. Well, we went down into the Library of Congress and we found a microfiche. Is that how it's pronounced?
Mm-hmm.
A microfiche there of 2 newspapers in Hawaii, each of which had published the birth of Barack Obama. It would have been awfully hard to fraudulently file the birth notice of Barack Obama being born in Hawaii and get that into our public libraries and that microfiche they keep of all the newspapers published. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some other explanations on how they might have announced that by telegram from Kenya.
Oh.
The list goes on, says the Republican that he endorsed yesterday. But drilling into that now, even if we could get a definitive answer, and even if it turned out that Barack Obama was conclusively not born in America, I don't think we could get that case sold between now and November. So,
well, I'm glad that he's fixed on all the important issues.
So even though he agrees that there's two Hawaiian newspapers announced the birth, he still says they could have gotten that information by telegram from Kenya. Yeah. And Mitt Romney was heard to say, "I want him as my partner in Washington, D.C." Oh, dear Lord. Okay, so, our mom, I was talking to her the other day, and she was saying she's just given money, she never has given a lot of money politically.
Nope.
And she's given more money than she's ever before. She said, I'm just giving to the Democrats. I'm so scared of these people. Now, I just want to say this. My mother is not a crazed liberal.
No, she spent plenty of time waffling about Obama.
Yes, she did. She's not in love with him.
She's firmly there now, and she bristles at the thought that people might not be.
But what drove her to Obama was not so much Obama as the Republicans. She's terrified of these crazy people, and she thinks they're crazy. And she also sees in them a kind of know-nothing, nativistic, kind of scary aspect that, is reminiscent of, like, things that can go real, real wrong. I'm avoiding all kinds of words. But for a person who's been alive for 90 years, to say she's never been more frightened by what she sees happening politically, and so that she's giving more money than she ever has to a candidate she's not wild about. But he stands in the way of these people who she does not want to see in charge of anything. I think she's moderate, relatively. Yeah. Moderate. She tends conservative on some issues. She can be very hawkish. But she knows scary people when she sees them.
She does, and civil liberties are very important to her.
So, I'm just saying, I mean, I think that little 90-year-old woman in Green Bay, Wisconsin, one of the battleground states, is an indicator. Maybe she's a little canary in the coal mine, that the Republicans have gone so far out that they're scaring independents and moderates. They're scaring people into supporting.
It is scary because they have a machine that looks like Nazi Germany.
See, you said that, Susan. You shouldn't say that. You can't say Nazi in our discourse, because then everybody tells you can't say that.
Well, I just said it. If you are putting out propaganda, and you are putting and it is nothing but lies intended to stir up the populace, I don't know why I can't draw that parallel, because they're using the playbook.
There you are.
It is scary. And that's why a 90-year-old woman's scared. She lived through that war.
Yeah. Did you see where Obama said, President Clinton made the case in the way only he can, and he said, somebody emailed me after his speech, and they said, you need to appoint Clinton Secretary of Explaining Stuff.
Oh, really? That's why I called him a good teacher last week.
I know, he is. He's an incredible teacher. And so Obama says, yeah, that was pretty, I like that, the Secretary of Explaining Stuff.
Well, he did, when he did that explanation of what the Ryan cuts would do to Medicaid and why it mattered to other than poor people of a color different than you.
Yes.
And when he explained it was about your grandparents and your parents who might be in a nursing home bed using Medicare dollars, which you carefully planned for so they'd qualify, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a whole legal field in instructing you how to qualify so that you aren't impoverished, how to impoverish yourself so you aren't impoverished by a nursing home. What they're explaining is who's paying for this. Who's paying for this? Well, you are.
But they like to insert this private middleman who also makes tons of money. Don't they, Republicans?
Oh, yeah.
There's always a unnecessary kind of, in these kinds of transactions, an unnecessary. Well,
the insurance company are unnecessary. Apparently we aren't allowed to go there. They are the original too big to fails.
And, college loans, as a case in point. Obama took them, there was private companies that were getting slices of this when the loans were bad. There was no reason for them there. I don't know. Okay. Bob writes from Braddock, at around 9:30 On September 11, 2001, I woke up to watch the Jerry Springer Show. That's what gets you up?
Right, I was thinking...
Put me back to sleep.
This isn't a confession I don't want to hear, but go ahead.
Instead, I was treated to the most rude awakening of my life when I saw that plane hit the South Tower of the World Trade Center. And I'll never forget the moment when you joined Jerry Boyer. He's talking about the guy who was on the air before me, and God rest his soul, Uncle Dougie, Doug Hirth, on WPTT radio for the most memorable talkathon in the station's history. And I really remember the moment when you said to those listening, "Forget politics. My country was attacked today." I can hear myself saying that. God, I wanted to hit back so bad that day I couldn't see straight. Oh.
Well, and so did George Bush, and he couldn't.
Right. It's moments like these that make us forget how far we've come as a nation since 9/11, in which we turn the words patriotism, freedom, and liberty into verbs that define division, rather than put the United in the United States of America. And also, let's not forget that the country was united in the immediate aftermath of 9/11. Well, that was my biggest, I've said it 500 million times, that was my biggest problem with George Bush. He had a United Nations, and the United States, united country behind him, and he told us to go shopping. And I said he could have asked us, I remember exactly what I said, he could have asked us to crawl on broken glass to rebuild those towers, to do this, to do that, and we would have done it. And he didn't. He squandered. And consequently, it became politicized almost immediately. The Democrats were with him, were willing to stand with him in every way, because that's what you do when your country's attacked. And he didn't nurture that. He didn't see the value of that. What he saw immediately was that it was an excuse so that he and Cheney could do what they've been dying to do, which is go to war with Iraq, really. Oh, they'd start with Afghanistan, because that makes sense. But they really then go into Iraq. That's what they wanted to do. Oh, damn it. So, it's funny how you watch that and hope for a different ending somehow.
Right. Well,
it's a magical thing.
Magical bargaining with God.
I know, magical thinking.
Work.
Yeah. Let's this time. Let's. No, it doesn't work that way. Okie doke. How about a quick break? And we'll be back, and lots more to talk about. Stay with us.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Pittsburgh City Paper is now available on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com to read this week's digital issue or search for restaurants, bars, concerts, events, and movies on any portable device. Plus blog, Lynn Cullen, City Guide, CPTV, and Best of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
This is the sound of a flat-screen television hurled off a building. Now the new bike your kid wants. These are the things you could have, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Use Energy Star light bulbs and appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
The future of the plastic surgery world is all about non-invasive procedures. Leading the way into the future is the Sewickley Med Spa. Do you suffer from turkey neck, droopy belly, sagging skin, or wrinkles? Well, it's time to say goodbye to these problems. Sewickley Med Spa has a new revolutionary pain-free procedure that plumps up collagen fibers to get rid of droopy, flabby skin. Call 412-259-8628 for a free consultation to see if you qualify as a candidate for this new age-reversing procedure. You'll experience immediate results after just one treatment. This procedure has been seen on news reports and in cosmetic magazines. A European secret is now at Sewickley Med Spa, the first and only credited location in the Pittsburgh area. Again, for your free consultation, call 412-259-8628. Look and feel your best by taking advantage of this clinically proven non-invasive pain-free procedure. Sewickley Med Spa, Broad Street in Sewickley.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okay, so, well, I'm trying to think, do I have any other political stuff just to get in? Quickly, I saw this, and I just want to bring this up just because it seemed so unbelievable to me, because I thought she was a surefire thing. But I have something here from Salon.com, which says, despite her national fan base and a massive war chest, Representative Michelle Bachmann may be in more danger than anyone would have suspected, with the most recent polls showing her leading by just 2 points over her challenger.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't that be wonderful? It says independent voters have swung against her. This is in her own district by nearly 20 points in just 2 months.
Well, they've tuned in finally.
I'm telling you, these wackos, and Bachmann's one of them, will take the independents and send them running into the Democratic column. Even if they don't particularly like the Democrats, but they at least see the Democrats as, sane. She's only leading her opponent 48-46, which is, of course, within the margin of error. Well, wouldn't that be something? When I saw that, I thought, God, is it conceivable that you could end up with one of those elections where you just sort of sweep a lot of these idiots out? I don't know.
Well, you know what's been happening. It happened the last time. Now they're all going to run to the other side of the ship. I hope.
Yeah. What these independents?
Yeah.
All they do is run from side to side because they don't know what's.
And look what it does. It has the boat careening back and forth. If we could all just quietly move to the middle of the boat.
Move to the middle of the boat, because this back and forth is making me queasy, and I could puke. Did you happen, Susan and audience, to see the screed written by the Viking football player?
Yeah.
Is that not a doozy?
Good. Real men no longer will tolerate this.
Okay, so what happened for, I guess those of you who don't know, is there was a Baltimore Raven player who's been, I guess, very out front about his support of gay marriage. His name I cannot pronounce.
He gave 2 football tickets to some gay marriage advocate fundraiser type.
He's a linebacker, Ayan Badeo or something. And he's said a lot of things about why gay marriage is no threat to anybody. Anyway, a local yokel Maryland politician who's anti-gay marriage hears about this and goes ballistic and writes to the owner of the Ravens and says that he should inhibit, I believe his words were, such expressions from his employees. Well, that made a Minnesota Viking go nuts. Can I read it? Did you ever read the whole thing?
Read it. Because it's very, very good.
Wow. He writes it. What he did is he wrote a letter to the idiot Maryland politician. Dear Emmett C. Burns Jr., and by the way, this is the Minnesota Vikings punter, Chris Kluwe. Dear Emmett C. Burns Jr., I find it inconceivable that you are an elected official of Maryland state government. Your vitriolic hatred and bigotry make me ashamed and disgusted to think that you are in any way responsible for shaping policy at any level. The views you espouse neglect to consider several fundamental key points, which I will outline in great detail. You may want to hire an intern to help you with the longer words. 1. As I suspect you have not read the Constitution, I would like to remind you that the very first amendment in this founding document deals with the freedom of speech, particularly the abridgment of said freedom. By using your position as an elected official to state that the Raven should inhibit such expressions from your employees, more specifically, Brendan Ayambadej, not only are you clearly violating the First Amendment, you also come across as a narcissistic fromunda stain. What is that, fromunda?
I have no idea.
This guy's too cool for words. What on earth would possess you to be so mind-bogglingly stupid? It baffles me that a man such as yourself, a man who relies on that same First Amendment to pursue your own religious studies without fear of persecution from the state, could somehow justify stifling another person's right to speech. To call that hypocritical would be to do a disservice to the word. Mind-fucking, obscenely hypocritical starts to approach it a little bit. 2. Many of your fans are opposed to such a view and feel it has no place in a sport that is strictly... Oh, no. This is what he said. This is what Emmett C. Burns Jr. wrote to the Ravens president. Many of your fans are opposed to such a view and feel it has no place in a sport that is strictly for pride, entertainment, and excitement. This is what the Viking punter says to that. Holy fucking shitballs.
That was like my favorite part.
Did you seriously just say that? As someone who's deeply involved in the government task forces on the legacy of slavery in Maryland, apparently was something he said, have you not heard of Kenny Washington, Jackie Robinson? As recently as 1962, the NFL still had segregation, which was only done away with by brave athletes and coaches daring to speak their mind and do the right thing. And you're going to say that political views have no place in sport? I can't even begin to fathom the cognitive dissonance that must be coursing through your rapidly addled mind right now. The mental gymnastics your brain has to tortuously contort itself through to make such a preposterous statement are surely worthy of an Olympic gold medal. By the way, the Russian judges give you a 10 for beautiful oppressionism. This guy's good. 3. This is
Just
more...
in case you think football players are dumb.
This is more a personal quibble of mine, he writes to the pal. But why do you hate freedom? Why do you hate the fact that other people want a chance to live their lives and be happy, even though they may believe in something different than you or act different than you? How does gay marriage in any way, shape, or form affect your life? If gay marriage becomes legal, are you worried that all of a sudden you'll start thinking about penis? Oh, shit. Gay marriage just passed. Got to get me some of that hot dong action. Will all of your friends suddenly turn gay and refuse to come to your Sunday ticket grill outs? I can assure you that gay people getting married will have zero effect on your life. They won't come into your house and steal your children. They won't magically turn you into a lustful cock monster. They won't even overthrow the government in an orgy of hedonistic debauchery because all of a sudden they have the same legal rights as the other 90% of the population. Rights like, Social Security benefits, child care tax credits, family and medical leave to take care of loved ones, and COBRA, health care for spouses and children. You know what having these rights will make gays? It'll make them full-fledged American citizens, just like everyone else, with the freedom to pursue happiness and all that entails. Do the civil rights struggles of the past 200 years mean absolutely nothing to you? In closing, I would like to say that I hope this letter, in some small way, causes you to reflect upon the magnitude of the colossal foot-in-mouth clusterfuck you so brazenly unleashed on a man whose only crime was speaking out for something he believed in. Best of luck in the next election. I'm fairly certain you might need it. Sincerely, Chris Kluwe.
Yay!
Oh, and then there is a P.S. I've also been vocal as hell about the issue of gay marriage, so you can take your "I know of no other NFL player who has done what Mr. Abaye is doing" and shove it up your close-minded, totally lacking in empathy pie hole and choke on it, asshole. Oh, God. He's my new favorite football player.
I know, mine too. Plus, he's cute.
He's cute as can be. Good-looking boy. And, far be it from me to like a Viking, but, and I'm not sure that telling him the two, over-the-hill Jewish broads that sound like Selma and Hack Away have the hots for him as a compliment. Oh, I think he'd take it as such. By the way, his brother-in-law is gay. He also says that he's gotten thousands upon thousands upon thousands of messages on Twitter, and they have been almost to a 1 positive. And he was quoted in the New York Times as saying this: "I think the culture in the NFL has become a lot more tolerant in the last 10 years. There's a younger generation coming in every year or two, and they make me very hopeful." So, by the way, the other reason this is resonating and picked up so much is that both Minnesota, where the Vikings are, and Maryland, where the Ravens are among 4 states that will have same-sex marriage votes on the ballot this November. Okay? So, this is good. This is good. And if there's you would figure the most homophobic thing in the world would be like an NFL locker room, right? And he says, Although there's yet to be an openly gay NFL player who's still playing. There have been players who've come out after the fact, after their careers, but none current. And you gotta bet there are gay football players out there.
Of course there are. Why wouldn't there be?
Right. So Chris Kluwe is
our hero for the day.
I just love it. And speaking of other troublemakers, full-page ad in USA Today today. There's a $1 million reward being offered by Larry Flint. Anybody who can get him anything on Mitt Romney's tax returns.
Well, he should have offered him $1,010,000 in $10 because the ransom note asked for $1 million, so he ought to up the ransom.
What ransom note?
Well, whoever stole, you don't know all this. Somebody claims to have hacked in and gotten those tax returns from the accountant.
Yeah, but everybody's saying there doesn't appear to have been any incursion into wherever they are, and that it's probably someone just pretending they've got them. You haven't seen any more on it?
No, I haven't.
No. So Larry Flint and Hustler magazine give you $1 million if you give him stuff that is verifiable and they publish it, and he's got a hotline to call, and he makes very clear in the fine print this offer is conditioned upon the person submitting the materials having obtained the materials lawfully. And it is, they will determine themselves whether that is the case. But, yeah. All right, Larry Flint, $1 million. If you can give him anything on Mitt Romney.
What's this stuff where they do? I mean, he's going to determine whether they were obtained lawfully?
Larry is?
Yeah, that's like the seal deciding that he's read his own book and there was nothing that couldn't be printed.
Well, he doesn't want another court. He wants them legally obtained because he doesn't want to get sued.
He doesn't want to land in court again, which he will if he
publishes
them,
it.
period.
Yeah, so he wants something he can publish.
Right.
All right. Tell you what. I'm going to take a little bit of a break because I see we've only got 15 minutes left in the show, so I better get it in, and then we'll come back and, talk some more, okay? In a minute.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Go to birdbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, the History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and some of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. This week, get 50% off tickets to the Pittsburgh Irish Festival. birdbargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. birdbargains.com.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you again. Get a pencil, will you? I'm going to give you a phone number. Call it, please. Change your life. Change somebody else's life. Become a tutor at the Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council, one-on-one. Or as Tom Sokolowski, who's decided to do this, told us, that you can also learn how to teach English for, as a second language to classes of up to 6 people. Whatever feels like a good fit for you or more comfortable. Think of doing that. First of all, you learn a skill. Then you pass on the most wondrous gift you can to another human being, the gift of literacy. And any day that you have done that, you can go to bed knowing you've helped make the world a slightly better place. Ideally, every day when you go to bed, you can say that. So they ask no more than 4 hours a week. Do you have 4 hours to change a life, conceivably your own? Here's the phone number, 412-393-7600, 393-7600. You can also check out their website and do it that way, gplc.org, Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council.org. I'm serious. Do it.
Get Lynn Cullen live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com.
Oh, God. PJ has told us what Fromunda is. Remember in the...
Yeah, well, what's Fromunda? I'm almost afraid to find out.
Yeah, I think you should be. Where was the...
It's because it's onomatopoeia.
Well, no. Okay, he says you come across as a narcissistic Fromunda stain. A Fromunda stain is an underwear stain.
Right.
Fromunda. God. I'll tell you, keeping up with the English language is not easy. Jesus. Okay. Susan, you like to drive fast.
Yes, I do.
I like to drive fast. I get crazy in Pennsylvania, where I live, because the drivers, the speed limits here seem so low. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Even on our turnpike, I mean, it's like 55 a lot of the way. 55! What is it on your interstate?
Well, it depends on your proximity to
the city,
town. But even so, the one the highway that sort of is right close to my house is 60, and that's going through the suburbs and straight through downtown.
Well, that's a little better.
It's a little better, but otherwise it's 65 out.
Well, the highest speed limit in the country is, I thought it'd be in one of those, like, Montana or something.
No, it's in Texas.
It's in Texas.
Yeah.
And actually, they're just about to post the highest speed. They've had a speed limit of 80 miles per hour on 2 big stretches of West Texas interstate between El Paso and San Antonio. 80 has been the speed limit there. And, of course, with 80, the speed limit, people pass you going 90, and nobody blinks. So they have just designated a toll road between Austin and San Antonio and set the speed limit at 85. 85. Woo-wee!
It almost makes you want to go there. But, with tollways, it makes sense, too, because they can clock you in at one end and clock you out. They don't really have to patrol. And they're giving you 85, so go 85. That's great.
Well, here's the thing. You got to figure, it's Texas. It's flat. It's a straightaway. There's nothing, why not?
Right, there's nothing there.
And you got to get to, you don't want to dawdle.
And if you need gas, you just put your finger in the nearest field.
There you go. Hi, caller. Hello?
Hi, guys. It's PJ from Greensburg.
Oh, PJ.
Oh, I'm not calling to talk about for Monday.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I wanted to touch on something Susan said earlier in the show about Nazis.
Okay. She who dared to speak its name, yes.
Well, that is... immediately when someone says that, they lose me in the conversation because it's so much hyperbole. But what's not hyperbole when referring to them is to call them fascists.
Yes.
And I don't understand why, with all the monikers that are thrown around, socialists, communists, liberals, that the left is labeled with. Why? Because fascist is the most accurate of all of them to describe the Republican Party, and especially the rightist.
The right wing of the Republican Party. I agree. It's totally fascist.
You're correct.
That's right.
And I've heard them called corporatists, which last time I checked, that is I guess
part of the fascistic
modern thing that we've forgotten, that fascist is a perfectly good term.
Yeah. No, so much of the hallmarks of what constitute fascism is absolutely there in their rhetoric and in their policies and politics, and their way of doing business.
The simplest way to show that is 2 weeks ago, every time you would say USA, USA,
yeah, right.
USA, I could just see them standing around a pile of books burning.
Yeah, right, or doing salutes. I know, it sounds like that. It does.
Well, and
they're scary
the
people.
fact of the matter is the simplest version of fascism is when the state is controlled by the corporations.
That's right.
And you need to look no further
right.
than the Republican Party. And that's one of my problems with the Democratic Party right now. But it pales in comparison to the right and the way they're willing to give over everything to the corporations. And they're the deal. And let's wield the word fascism like it should be wielded.
Okay, so your point is,
because there's no more accurate term.
Okay,
so,
all right,
guys.
Good point.
Okay.
Thank you, PJ. So he's saying, don't do the Nazi, but you can do fascist.
Right.
Okay.
And be more accurate to boot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
that's a good. That's
Will
good.
Do.
That's good. two college-related items, Susan. The University of Oklahoma, the University of Montana State have made their campuses totally smoke-free. I have to tell you, I'm stunned by that because those are...
No one smokes more than college students.
No one smokes more than college students, and those are red states, Oklahoma and Montana.
Right.
And they...
where was the Marlboro man from?
Yeah! And it turns out that there are 774, at least known, college campuses in the country that have totally banned smoking as of July 1st. And 500 plus that have banned, tobacco in any form. And they say here that smoking indoors in a college campus has been largely forbidden since the 1970s. I had no idea. And yet college kids smoke. Not as much as they used to, but they do. I think what it shows you is that, well, here's a quote from a 21-year-old in Montana. With our generation, smoking bans have always been a given. We've never had the opportunity to smoke in a building. We never really had the opportunity to smoke on an airplane. Few of us smoke in our homes. So they don't expect to be allowed to smoke.
Right. Well, that's good.
That's good.
If nothing else, if you're going to smoke, it limits the amount of time you have to do it.
That's right. That's when I started smoking in college. And I just smoked like a chimney.
Well, I think I was, you see,
you
because
too.
I was the youngest, I was probably 3 years younger than you when I started smoking.
Right. I remember thinking my friends in high school who smoked were idiots. And then I went to college to become an idiot. David has something to say about fascism. Let's see what he says. Oh, here are the so-called defining characteristics of it. He says these are characteristics common to Hitler's Germany, Mussolini's Italy, Franco's Spain, Suharto's Indonesia, and several Latin American countries that you would say are fascist. Okay, a powerful and continuing nationalism. Use of patriotic mottos, slogans, flags everywhere. Okay, that sounds like us, doesn't it?
Yep.
2, disdain for the recognition of human rights. Because of fear of enemies and the need for security, the people in fascist regimes are persuaded that human rights can be ignored in certain cases because of need. Okay. 3, identification of enemies, scapegoats, as a unifying cause. Fascists tend to rally their people into a frenzy over the need to eliminate threats. Racial threats, ethnic threats, religious minorities, liberals, commies, socialists, immigrants, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so far this is sounding like the Republican convention, isn't it?
Yeah.
Number 4, supremacy of the military. All right, we're still there, still in Tampa. Even when there are widespread domestic problems, the military is given a disproportionate amount of government funding. Soldiers and military service are glamorized. Okay. Here's one. I don't know if this works. Rampant sexism. Governments of fascist nations tend to be almost exclusively male-dominated. Well, I have to say, I don't think that's true anymore because... No,
but there is, how should we say, a war on women?
That's what he says. Divorce, abortion, and homosexuality are suppressed, and the state is represented as the ultimate guardian of the family. Okay. Controlled mass media. Sometimes media is directly controlled by the government, but in other cases the media is indirectly controlled through regulation or sympathetic media executives. Okay, we got a little of that. Obsession with national security. Fear is used as a motivational tool by the government. So I think we're batting 1,000 so far.
Yeah.
Religion and government are intertwined. Oh, my God. Governments in fascist nations tend to use the most common religion in the nation as a tool to manipulate public opinion. Religious rhetoric and terminology is common from government leaders, even when the major tenets of the religion are diametrically opposed to the government's policies. All right, number 9, corporate power is protected. Okay, I'll say no more on that. Number 10, labor power is suppressed. I'll say no more on that. 11, disdain for intellectuals and the arts. Wow. I'll say no more for that. If you stop and think about it, these are the groups that the German fascists rounded up.
Yeah.
Right? They're all the labor unions,
right.
The artists, intellectuals. Obsession with crime and punishment. Okay, I'm not going to need to go no further there. 13, rampant cronyism and corruption. Well, okay. And 14, fraudulent elections. Sometimes elections in fascist nations are a complete sham. Fascist nations also typically use their judiciaries to manipulate or control elections. Wow. I'd say we scored like really, 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 really high on that. Yeah. So I would think the word fascist, maybe we'll just print that baby out, and there we got it. Wow.
So that could be a bumper sticker. Long for the days of fascism, vote Republican.
Yeah, but one of them Republicans might blow your tires out or something. Scary! They're scary people! Why don't they recognize it themselves? Why don't they recognize they're scared and that their fear is making them nuts?
Well, honestly, I find the people that are, in my experience, that are most dependent on their religion to guide them, are also, falling for this republic. For this kind of politics because they don't want to think. They're terrified.
They like to be told.
They like to be told.
Here's what it's at. Pay no attention. We'll take care of things. Here are your enemies. Here's what you got. I don't know. Okay, that was depressing.
Thank God it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
11 o'clock.
It's 11 here. Yes, it's 10 there. Well, Suze, have a good rest of your day.
Will do. You too.
Okay. Good talking to you.
We didn't even mention the teacher strike. Bye.
Bye. I don't want to talk about that yet. I got to educate myself a little more about that teacher strike. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, it's a beautiful day in Pittsburgh. Hope you enjoy it as well. Tomorrow, Chris Potter joins me. Toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.